Another thing is that we talk a lot about trauma, and a lot of people are put off by trauma because they think that we're assuming that they're attacking their children or hurting their children. That's absolutely not. I mean, obviously, if you're hurting your child, it will traumatize them. But actually, the trauma that we see every day in the SEND community, whether it's children or adults, is complex trauma. um, Complex trauma or developmental trauma, and it's complex because we don't necessarily see it. It's not something that we necessarily remember. Um, and it can be like sensory. So, if you have sensory differences and particular difficulties in processing, in sensory processing, then actually going into an environment that abuses your senses day in, day out just continues to re traumatize you. So, in a child, you can develop complex trauma. This is why we bang on about having early interventions. It's not about changing the child, it's about changing the environment to make sure that you don't develop complex trauma on top of everything else. There seems to be a real increase at the moment in children who are disengaging from life, disengaging from school, school refusing. I hate that title because it's not refusing. But there are reasons behind this, and it's because at some point their needs weren't met and they weren't listened to. It could be that they had behavioral difficulties. That was their way of communicating, this environment is not right for me. They weren't listened to, they were put back into the environment. They developed complex trauma. This has an enormous knock on effect